Hello, hello. Welcome to Just Jenna. You have no idea how excited I am that you're here. I'll be sharing the wisdom, questions, and curious little truths I've gathered along the way. From brilliant thinkers to weird memes, from ancient texts to the knowing of nature. Some of what I've learned came from books, some from breakdowns, some from simply paying attention, and some from fumbling through it myself. My hope is that these stories expand you the way that they've expanded me. So maybe, just maybe, you don't have to trip over the same parts of life I did. And if you do trip and fall, it's okay. I won't tell anyone. Hi, my little human beings. Hi, my little cutie bears, my little sweetie pies, my little princesses, you cuties. You guys, I have to talk to you about something because I genuinely cannot stop noticing it. The funny part is, I'm not actively consuming politics or the news on a regular basis. I don't make it a part of the daily routine of Miss Jenna. You know what I'm saying? Just by existing, you can feel something shifting in the world right now. I don't know anyone who's immune to this energy shift. Everyone can feel it. You have to. It's a weird time. It's a weird time. You want to know why? It's because all of these systems, all of these structures, these things that used to feel stable for us, that we've built our reality, our economy, our livelihood, our family systems, we've built all of these systems on these very unstable systems, and they're all cracking. They're all crumbling down. And I'm not even saying this to be uber dramatic or negative about that. I keep noticing something, because the thing that's fascinating me is that it's not just happening out there. It feels like it's happening inside of people as well. The internal systems are crumbling too. My belief systems are crumbling. I'm not saying that the world is ending. This is not going to be any doomsday propaganda, okay? But it does feel like a lot of the systems that people have relied upon for decades are being questioned or shaken up. And again, you do not need to follow the news to notice this. Just look around. Look at the work and career systems, because for decades there was a structure and it was very simple. You go to school, you get a stable job, you stay at the company, you climb that company ladder. But now we have entire generations that are questioning that structure. People are leaving corporate jobs. I feel people are starting businesses online. People are refusing to work 60 hours a week to just survive. Companies themselves, okay, they don't even know what work is supposed to look like anymore, especially after COVID. Remote work, hybrid work, and AI is replacing so many different roles. And the whole idea of what a career is, I feel like, is changing. At least that's a conversation I have with a lot of people my age. You know what I'm saying? Then the education systems, oh, good Lord, have mercy. Again, this is akin to the work and career system, because it was, you go to college, you take on some student loans, you get that degree, and that degree guarantees stability. Hear me laugh, okay? I was a victim of that propaganda, okay? Because millions of people, I feel, maybe I'm being dramatic, I did throw that number out of thin air, but I feel millions of people, I'm going to stick to it apparently, are questioning whether that system actually delivers what was promised of them. I'm like, hell, you can learn online. I've taught everything I do on a daily basis right now. I've had to teach myself. I haven't learned any of this in college. Everything. I learn everything that I'm doing for all things I'm involved in online. YouTube. Thank you, YouTube. Seriously. People are building careers without these degrees. I feel like universities themselves, they're struggling to justify the cost. It's so goddamn expensive. For what? The financial systems are crumbling because even money systems feel less certain than they used to. Inflation, baby, it's changing how people live. Banks are collapsing. Money's changing. Entire conversations about alternative financial systems and situations are happening. Has anyone else heard about the universal basic income? Anybody? Fascinating. Look it up. So fascinating. People are realizing that the structures they assumed that would always be stable might not be. The value of $1. You guys, get your hands on some silver and gold. It's wild. The US dollar is it's wild. Just Google the value of a US dollar and what's going on. Literally say, what is going on with the value of a US dollar. I'm sure you're going to find some interesting articles to get yourself a little up to speed. Technology is disrupting everything. I don't mean disrupting in a negative way. I am just a little sleepy. You know what I'm saying? So AI alone, it's forcing people to rethink oh God, I think I should do an episode next week on AI because the way that I just got goosebumps. I love technology. I think technology is so cool. AI alone, it's forcing people to rethink everything. Jobs that felt permanent suddenly feel completely uncertain. Creative fields are changing, business models, the way that a business can be started, can be sustained, can be ran, can be sold, it's all changing. And the pace of change is absolutely nutty. It's absolutely nutty. I feel like the cultural systems, people are questioning things that used to be taken as fact, law, rule, marriage, timelines, career expectations and outcomes, what success looks like, what adulthood. I feel like this is a big one. I feel like the way that adulthood was supposed to look, people are just, why? I think people are rewriting the scripts that has been inherited to them or passed down to them or picked up along the way. For most of human history, though, this is the part where it gets a little, oh Lord. Because I think it's most of human history. Humans, we rely on systems to tell us how life is supposed to work, what reality we need to exist in. So when these systems start shifting, suddenly people have to start thinking for themselves a little bit. You can feel it. I can feel it. I can feel that. I feel it in the air. There's people that haven't been critically thinking for years and they have to turn on that part of their brain. I can tell people are turning it on. But I'm not here. I'm literally, let me get comfy. The reason I want to make this episode has nothing to do at all with the external systems. Because I want to talk about the internal systems that are crumbling. Because as within, so without, as above, so below, baby. When external systems start shifting, people's internal systems, they start shifting too. Actually, I don't know. Is it the chicken or the egg? Does it happen in here first and then outside, or outside first and then in? It's probably a little bit of both. God only knows. God knows that one probably. Not me, though. But regardless, I know the external and the internal are both shifting. A lot of our beliefs about life are built on these structures that are crumbling. Crumbling. When the structures crack, your beliefs cracked too. I've been noticing this inside myself recently a lot. Okay. Old ways of thinking that I've carried for years, these belief systems about how life is supposed to unfold in whatever particular fashion for whatever particular reason, they are just falling apart in front of me. Not because I'm trying to force literally anything to change, but because I just don't believe in certain things anymore. I'm the type of person, when I find out new information, oh, okay, well now I have to pivot because I didn't know that. Once I know something that I didn't know before, if something new is introduced to my awareness, I can't even help but to make different decisions based upon, I don't know. I've realized this. I was going back and forth if I wanted to share this or not on the pod. And I think I'm going to. You know what? Fun fact, I am now not only the talent behind Just Jenna. Yep, round of applause. Thank you so much. But I am now also the editor and producer of Just Jenna. And this is my first episode. I am editing and producing all on my own. So I'm going to tell the story. And if I feel weird about it later, I will edit it out, girl. But I think I'm going to keep it in. But you know what I mean. So the personal example I want to share, I started thinking about something that I have always wanted in my life. Okay. Especially the last couple of years, I have always wanted to have a baby. Okay. For most of my life, my brain had a very clear formula for how that was supposed to happen. A, then B, then you go to C. A being find a good partner. B, build a stable relationship. C, have a child. Okay. I think a lot of us do this in different ways. Everyone has their C, that North Star, the thing that they want. And our brains, they build the sequence to get there. And the crazy part is, we usually treat that sequence like it's reality and the only way. It's the only possible way life could work out. And when I really looked at this belief, honestly, I realized something interesting. I wasn't actually focused on my C. I wasn't focused on my North Star because when I tell you my heart's desire, I cannot wait to have a child one day. Okay. It is just I'm so excited. Okay. And that's why I was thinking about A and B. I wasn't even thinking about C. I wasn't even focused on my North Star anymore. I was focused on the middleman, literally and figuratively. Because underneath the whole A to B to C structure, there was an assumption being made. I'm going to be honest here. I believed that I wouldn't be able to financially support a child on my own. I have been told by a handful of people now. Every time oh my God, I can't wait to have a child. I'm just so excited. I'm just so excited to be able to participate with that one day in life, God willing, right? Because, you never know what's going to happen in life. But if that can happen for me, I would be really excited. Okay. I've had a lot of people be like, you can do it on your own. I always was like, absolutely not. I am not doing it alone because of things I've picked up along the way throughout my life, the things that I've seen, the things that I've witnessed, and also assumptions I was making about myself and my life and who I am and where I'm going and all of these things. I would tell people if I don't find an adequate enough human being to procreate with, essentially, then I would not bring a child into this world because I am very conscientious of that. I mean, I have no idea, but I think I have a decent clue, of a good head on my shoulder of just certain things. And I realized that the main reason underneath me feeling I had to have a husband or a partner or whatever, first and foremost, more than anything, was because I wouldn't be able to financially support a child on my own. Okay? And that is the assumption I was making. And that is the truth. And, it's not necessarily the most comfortable answer. When I revealed to myself that was the root of why I have been so. That's why the structure existed. That's why. I was like, oh my God, that's uncomfortable. I feel a little weird about that being true for me right now. My brain built an entire life plan around this assumption that I was making. Find the partner, build the relationship, baby becomes possible. But I asked myself a question that kind of changed everything for me. I thought, okay, if I was absolutely when I tell you, I was in the shower. I remember having this revelation. I was in the shower where I do my best, clearest thinking. I play music, I dance, I shower, and clarity usually rushes in. I was in the shower and I was, okay, if I was absolutely loaded, if I had more than enough money, if I was completely financially stable, would I still feel I needed a man first? And the honest answer was no. I was like, no. Again, uncomfortable to admit to myself. My cheeks are red right now thinking about, well, people are going to know this, but you want to know what? It's fine. This is the point. It's not a big deal. Whatever, we're moving on. One, it was uncomfortable because it's, ugh. Then two, it meant that the structure, the system, the belief system that I thought was reality was built around one assumption. So I realized something. If that belief disappears, if the whole A, B to C formula disappears too, everything, what? I felt like I was just kind of standing there like, okay. And then there's another layer. Okay? There's another layer to this whole thing as well. I was going back and forth if I felt like spilling the beans or not, but I totally am. Screw it. Because, okay, so biologically speaking, this does feel personal, but I'm okay. Whew. Anyways. Because biologically speaking, I knew something else was going on because women peak fertility around the age of 28, I believe. Because I do want a child someday, my body started freaking out a little bit, okay? I could literally feel the biological clock and energy in my brain be like, come on, girl, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. I'm not kidding. And even though I could logically see, oh, my hormones are driving a ship right now, I knew the energy behind it is fear. It was urgency. I can't, and I never want to make a life decision, any decision based from fear. So then I made another decision. I'm going to freeze my eggs at 28. You heard it here first. I'm going to freeze my eggs at 28. Because it completely removes the biological pressure and urgency from that whole equation. When I did that, something very interesting happened. The belief system, oh my God, my belief system completely is dissolved, right? Because it's first the biological clock pressure, gone, because I'm going to freeze my eggs, moving on. Then the financial assumption that I was making completely disappeared. I'm not kidding you. I have 100% certainty that I'm going to financially support a child on my own if I need to. Why? Because I'm like, oh, why wouldn't I? Hello? Literally, hello? So it's crazy. It's just so crazy. A to B to C was gone. So then now what, right? I have no idea actually how C is going to happen or if it's going to happen at all. Maybe to get to C, I actually need to go to G, then K, then S, then back to F, and then somehow we'll land back on C. I don't even know the alphabet anymore. You know what I'm saying? But for the first time, I'm not trying to micromanage it because the moment that that belief system dissolved in my brain, when I tell you it felt it was dripping out of my brain when I was taking a shower, I realized something super simple. My job isn't to control the alphabet here, right? My job is just to keep participating and showing up, just keeping it moving. Because when belief systems collapse, it's a very strange experience. I'm sure everyone can relate to this. When you just change your mind, it's not even I'm changing my mind because I don't have a new idea. But just, I don't know, when you find out someone maybe isn't who they say they are, or this path you are taking is no longer leading you to where you'd want to go, or maybe this doesn't actually equal this, or maybe you don't have to do this. It's a very strange experience because suddenly the future feels it's more open. So you're feeling good, but it's also less defined, and that freaks human beings out. I think most people rush immediately to replace the belief with a new one. I'm going to say something different. I have always encouraged people to rewrite their story. And you want to know what? I still encourage people to rewrite their story. I think it's very important. Hello, look at I think it was my last episode about prayer. You got to kind of affirm, you got to practice, say things over and over again, to get it moving. But for this specific instance, when you have a belief system about something that just crumbles in front of you, I want to invite you to not rewrite your story. Because sometimes I think the old story just stops becoming true. It's not that you need to rewrite something else. It's just the old thing's done. When a belief system falls apart, there's space, okay? Now that's opened up. And that space can feel a little uncomfortable because we're used to having structure for everything, a timeline, a formula, a sequence of steps for how life is supposed to follow. When the structures devolve, the possibilities, they show up. Growth, evolution, isn't about adding something new necessarily. It's about removing what was never true to begin with, something that wasn't true. You don't think about it. You don't plant flowers in a garden full of weeds. You would clear the soil first, then you plant. So when I don't know, I look at the world right now and it just feels all these systems are crumbling. I don't automatically assume that everything is falling apart because sometimes these systems and these structures, they collapse because they're no longer aligned with the reality that we're living in. The same thing happens with inside of all of us. I wrote something in my notes app the other day. I was on a walk and I just thought about it, put it in my notes, kept it moving. But it made me laugh when I read it back. And I feel it's relevant right now. I wrote, "It's stupid to make assumptions." I know it sounds a little aggressive, but I mean it in a very honest way because assumptions are literally just stories our brain fills in when we don't have the full picture, we don't have full information. The brain hates uncertainty. So it would rather invent an explanation than sit in the unknown. Most of the time, we're not even reacting to reality. We're reacting to the assumption that we made about reality. Maybe this is something you could explore if you feel it. Think about maybe an area in your life where you felt, I don't know, a pressure or you felt complete certainty about how things Maybe we're supposed to unfold for you to get X, Y, and Z in the third, specifically your C. Maybe it's in relationships or career or money. You can ask yourself, what belief system do I have, am I holding about how this has to happen? If it's about relationships, because for me, that's kind of what it was about. It was mainly, it was a relationship. I was, okay, well, what belief am I holding about how this has to go? How to get my C. Actually, it wasn't the relationships. It was, my C was the baby. Have a sweet, sweet child of mine. You know what I'm saying? And then after you ask yourself that question, after you ask yourself what belief are you holding on to about how this has to happen, then you need to ask yourself a second question. You need to ask yourself, is this belief actually true? Or is this an assumption that my brain built a structure around? Sometimes life doesn't feel uncertain because you're lost. Sometimes life feels uncertain because an old belief system is dissolving around you. And when that happens, you don't need to rush to rebuild the structure right away. Leave a little space. Leave a little bit of room, okay? Leave a little bit of room for magic to come in. Okay, I gotta throw in a little bit of magic. Because I've noticed, and the reason I'm sharing this as well is because I've only seen positive results from this. Life has a way of revealing the next steps. Once we stop assuming, we already know how the story is supposed to go. Something else I love from Kabbalah, specifically during these times, is that certainty doesn't mean you know the outcome. You can have certainty in life. Because through the lens of Kabbalah, it says that certainty means trusting the process even when the outcome or path is unclear. So you can actually be certain inside the uncertainty. And maybe that's what the participation actually looks like. Participating with life. Continuing to stay certain inside the uncertainty. And that just being your experience. Rather than an old belief system crumbles and falls, immediately replacing it with a new one and following that path. Just maybe not rewriting the story. I don't know. It's just a new perspective I have and the way that I'm thinking about things. And I really wanted to share it with you guys. And I don't know. I'm still sleepy. I'm feeling a little sleepy and I shared something vulnerable. If I talk about my North Star, I get a little vulnerable because I'm, oh my goodness. But I love you guys so flippin' much. I really am going to stop trying to cuss so much. My mom, hi mom. Shout out my mom, period. But she told me that the cussing is it's a little too much. It was wonderful feedback. Seriously, thank you, Mom. And she also told me that my Aunt Patty, I don't think my Aunt Patty actually listens to my episodes, but she probably listened to a reel that I created. One of my 4 reels I've ever created. You guys, I promise the marketing, I'm sorry. I'll get there. Whew, baby steps. But anyways, my Aunt Patty also said that the cussing was a little shocking. So I could tone it down a bit. I'm yawning so much. Did you guys hear that? I'm such a sleepy, sleepy girl. Oh my goodness gracious. I think I have to go to bed. You guys, I love you so much. I'm really grateful that I get to be here and talk about these things with you. And I just love my podcast. I really do. So thank you guys so much for listening. Please, please, please have a good week. I'm sending the best week, good vibes, energy out there to every one of you stinking cutie little critters. Cutie little critters. I'll see you guys next Tuesday.